How's everybody? All good? What the Lord is going to be teaching us today is something practical. Something that we could use straight away. Even as you are seated there right now, you could already start applying it. It is self-control. Teacher has already discussed a full-on seminar when it comes to healing and deliverance. That's why we just want to push it further. Because the moment that we understand healing and deliverance, we have to understand that it is a continuous process. And healing and deliverance does not only happen during the time that you are uttering, I cast out lust, I cast out so and so. That's not only happening during those times. It is also happening whenever you are making choices in every aspect of our lives. In every step that we make, it actually is a process of healing and deliverance. Naintindihan po ba natin? Ang lahat po ng mga choices na ginagawa po natin, ito po ay mga small steps into getting our freedom. Kasi hindi naman po natin tamang isipin that porket nag-declare na tayo, abay wala na talaga. Kasi kung wala na talaga, bakit may mga existing conditions pa na nandyan? Naintindihan po natin? Hindi po kasi yan parang magic. Though the Lord is able to do that, what I'm saying is that it is progressive. So it's nice to know that there are practical applications that the Lord is teaching us so that we could make sure that we can get hold of the healing and deliverance that the Lord has already positioned upon our lives. Can you please read this 1 Thessalonians 2:3-8 before I start the word that the Lord has prepared today?
For that he who made does not come from error or impurity or with deceit, but just as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, so we declare it, not to please people but God, who examines our hearts. For we never appeared with flattering speech, as you know, nor with a pretext for greed. God is our witness, nor to seek glory from people, either from you or from others. Although we could have imposed our weight as apostles of Christ, instead we became little children among you, like a nursing mother caring for her own children, with such affection for you we are happy to share with you, not only the gospel of God, but also our whole lives, because you have become dear to us.
You know very well that each and every one of us stand up on the gift and the ministry that the Lord has placed upon our lives. That's the reason why one cannot be compared with the other. I cannot be compared with Pastor as how he cares. He has the gift of pastoring. Neither will you ask me, can you see this vision as clearly as Prophet Lorena or probably a word as clearly as teacher? But you know, when I saw this 1 Thessalonians 2:3-8, it impacted my heart because I feel what Paul was feeling and trying to say to the Thessalonians during this time. You know, in the office of the apostle, I used to tell the people that I'm, the brethren that I am working with in this ministry, that if you're running for miscongeniality, you are in the wrong ministry. If you wanted to come to please people, like majority of us are, sometimes you just don't want to come across strongly to people. Sometimes you just want to sugarcoat everything. You wish you could just make them smile all the time. You wish you could just say something that would really ease what they want, or probably say something that they really want to hear, but that's not what happens all the time. It says here, we appeal to you, but we appeal and we come to you not with error. You know, sometimes when you're carrying something that is right, it is painful. When you're carrying something that is right, it could be uncomfortable. And not a lot of people like it. When you are carrying a change, it's not welcome. It's not an OBG. And the foundational teachings for the office of the apostle, or the foundational ability of this office, is that discipline, setting things that are not there to make it exist. It's the same thing in our lives. And when you wanted to set new things in your lives, it means there are certain things that probably needs to be demolished, right? Because if I want to create a building in Millennium, I cannot create a building in Millennium when Millennium is already existing. So it means sometimes to create something, I will have to demolish something. And that's not going to be very pleasant at times. But the Lord is saying, we will not come with flattering words. I may come across to you. I am not carrying flattering words. I may not have time to sugarcoat it. Because even if I sugarcoat it, you will never like it anyways. I am not here to get your praise. Because I would rather get the praises and the reward of the Lord. And it may not please you, but it pleases my God. But one thing that Apostle Paul is saying here, we share our lives to you. We do not only impart a ministry. You know, when you're standing for the word of the Lord, I praise God because I was not meant to be here today morning. It's just the time frame of my work in the morning. It was quite challenging for me to stand up and preach today. And I was telling teacher, and teacher said, it's okay, we swap. But you know what? This word that the Lord has given me today, it's really for each and every one of us, which understands, and there is great maturity in understanding how the Lord functions. So I'm speaking to matured people. I'm speaking to people who understands having a relationship with the Lord. Yeah? When you're having a relationship with the Lord, when you are in the ministry, when you are dealing with people who minister to you, we are not only ministering to you because we are ministering to the Lord. We are ministering to the Lord first and foremost, but we are also sharing our lives to you. The very part of everything, our time, our finances, our efforts. Why? Because that's how we make the Lord happy, and that's the joy that we also receive through the ministry. And it says here, we even nurse you like we're caring mothers. You know, when you have a nanay, I believe each and every one of us has a nanay, right? I believe your nanay was not at all times, oh, ganda-ganda ng anak ko. Isn't it? There are times when your nanay tells you, Zen, you did not do well on this. Zen, you have to do this. Right? And even our nanays are the ones who always tell us, remind us all the time of the things that we must learn. Why does our nanay always do that? Because they want us to be better in the future. Our parents never wanted anything bad for us. It's the same thing, you know, when you go for leadership, each and every one of you are going for discipleship. Majority are who are not going for discipleship as yet. Can I have your hands up, please? Sino yung wala pang discipleship? Isa, dalawa, yung mga wala pang discipleship. I think wala pang 10 ang wala pa pong discipleship. Yeah. It's about time magpa-discipleship na po kayo. Kasi when you are going for discipleship, you're stepping into saying yes to the Lord to lead and nurture and nourish someone else eventually. Because you are not going to be nourishing yourself only, but you're going to be nourishing someone else too. So as you listen to the word of the Lord today, it may not come to you across like a sweet aroma, but I command that you listen through your heart, the heart that the Lord wants to place, that has placed upon your heart, upon your being, para po mas maintindihan nyo at magamit po natin. You know, God knows our strength and He knows our weaknesses. And He is always here to help us and to remind us. In everything, we should have the right attitude and the right way of receiving the word of the Lord. He knows what we feel. And sometimes there are moments in our lives when we say, you know what, Lord, I just want to give up. I just want to give up. I just can't change. I am really disorganized. I'm incompetent and I'm unable to take control. I hope you're not declaring those words upon your lives. I hope these are not the words you are saying upon your lives. Why? Because first things first, I just want to remind you, it is never you. You are not incompetent. You are not able to, you are not having difficulty of controlling yourself, and you are not disorganized. But this is what the enemy wanted you to think you are, because he wanted to disadvantage you. And when you are this person that the enemy wanted you to become, you are already disadvantaged morally and spiritually. A person that does not have self-control will never be morally having a good standing, and will never be all the more having a good standing spiritually. Because if you don't have anything outside, what makes you think you've got something inside? You cannot fool the Lord, you cannot mock the Lord, and you cannot mock the people of God. All the more. Because if you don't have it outside, discernment says it, you don't have it inside. Because if you have it inside, then it should be going outside. People without self-control are driven and consumed by all these things that are controlling them. But if this self-control that are controlling, that people which are not having self-control, they are being driven by the things that are controlling them, and it's very, very obvious because it has signs and symptoms. There is great fatigue. People who don't have self-control, nakakapagod po yan. You know, imagine if you have to drive a car that does not have control on the steering. You have to keep on maneuvering just so that you could go on the right alignment. Instead of just having, you know, nowadays you have the push button, what they call that? The cruise control. Imagine, you don't even have to press the accelerator, it drives on its own. That's a life with the presence of self-control. It's like driving with cruise control. You don't have to make so much effort. But without self-control, there will be fatigue. That's why some people, they're always tired. Not physically tired, sick and tired of what they're doing. Some people are depressed. Because if you don't have control on anything, of course it will bounce back into sadness. Because if you don't have control on anything, nothing in your life will come into completion. So, what's going to happen? Depression. You will be nervous. Because if you're not in control of anything, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know that ahead of this door, there's a favor. You're always thinking, what if? Why? Will there be something? You're always worrying. These are the effects of people without self-control. And on the healing and deliverance teaching that the teacher blessed us with, Proverbs 25:28 says, can you read that for me, please?
A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls.
This word self-control in this particular verse is mainly talking about a man without the ability to get hold or to get a grip on. This particular self-control means the ability to grip on and the ability to hold on. You know, when you are controlling something, we're talking spiritual here, right? You are able to take hold of it. Even if you don't see it, you're able to hold it. You can feel it like you grip it. You can control it. It literally means your hands is on that something. You get a hold of it. You get what I mean? So we're going to talk about what our hands should be getting hold on to. Because at the moment, what we are doing is that we wanted to control many things in this world. But we are actually not able to control anything. We wanted to control many things, but actually, we are not controlling anything. So the first thing when it comes to self-control is, you start with yourself. That's why when I was meditating it, I was telling the Lord, self-control. Is it like all by myself, Lord. But no. Self-control, before you even think of controlling a bigger picture, start on your own. This is the first thing. Start with yourself. If you are looking at your life and you're thinking, if I can only pick the person that actually messes up my life, you will see you're full with bruises. I have this colleague of mine, a friend of mine. Every time I see her, she always complains on how her work, how her flight went. She's telling me the crew are like this, the crew are like that, and the crew are like this. In the beginning, I keep on listening to her. I'm like thinking, oh really? Your crew are like that? And then, eventually, I kind of figure out and analyze this person. Every time she goes to work, she complains about the people she works on. And for us, every time we come to work, we always have a different set of person to work with. Meaning, I don't work with the same person all the time. And then I realized, why does she get almost the same type of issues, even though she ends up working with different people? Why? The only constant factor in our lives, wheresoever we go, is ourselves. You could try to change a lot of things around you, but if you don't change yourself, if you don't have a control or a grip or a hold on yourselves, you will always have the same impact on people. Even though I'm going to be speaking with Ahmad, even if I'm going to be speaking with Ed, even if I'm going to be speaking with Karina, doesn't matter. Who are you speaking with? Who are you dealing with? If you don't change yourself, if you don't have a hold on yourself, you will definitely get the same impact on people. So that's not how we wanted it to be. Because we don't want that the enemy is inside of us. Right? I remember what Pastor was saying. If you wanted to kill the enemy, you have to swallow dynamite. Why? Because the enemy is inside. You're not even fighting on the force that's outside of you. It's very hard to fight on the force that's inside of us. But healing and deliverance says, no, it's not hard. It's doable. It can be done. Can we read 1 Corinthians 9:27, please?
But I esteem my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified.
When we're talking about preaching to others, are we only talking about preachers standing here in front? Is it right to say that each and every one of us is already a preacher to others? Yes, we are. When you share the good news of the Lord to your family, when you share the good news of salvation to your friends, when you try to just extend the blessing of the word of the Lord to other people, sister, brother, you're already preaching. Sometimes I even tell you, okay, preach, sister, preach. They even tell you, right, when you're talking, you're just kind of sharing, but then they can see, oh my goodness, she's preaching, there she goes. Do you get that at work? That's why I often tell them, yeah, prepare your offerings. The basket will come later. But it says there, I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I preach to others, I myself should become disqualified. Brothers and sisters, there's a big obligation for those people who already understand the gospel. And Paul is aware of it. Let it be a reminder for us. The grace that we have received from the Lord, that grace, the unmerited, you did not fought for it. Hindi naman ikaw ang nakipaglaban, pero na-receive mo yung grasya ng salvation ng Panginoon. Hindi ka naman talaga karapat-dapat, pero na-receive mo yung grasya ng salvation ng Panginoon. Hindi ka naman talaga deserving, pero na-receive mo yung grasya ng salvation ng Panginoon. Meron pong responsibilidad na kaakibat yun. And if you think that you could just share the word of the Lord, extend the word of the Lord, and not be mindful that you've got a responsibility to also live a life with good moral standing and the ability to control yourselves, you are Not wise. Because Paul is saying, sometimes, I'm always telling teacher this. If there is one thing that you wanted to do to be able to grow in your ministry with the Lord, in your fellowship with the Lord, as you would like to be an extension of the Lord to other people, you should really choose to die on yourselves. Because the moment we go beyond ourselves, that's the moment we step into the realms of the presence of God. Because the Lord will not stay within your box. You cannot box the Lord within you alone. I'm not talking about the body. I'm talking about your mentality, your attitude, your manner, your character. You cannot box the Lord because the Lord is greater than that. So the Lord wants to say, you have to discipline your body and bring it into subjection to Him, not subjection to our old self. So in short, may disiplina po talagang nagaganap. May disiplina po. There's a discipline that is really required in the life of a believer. And when that happens, when you do that, your heart does not only think about yourself. Because when you are disciplining your body, mind you, it is not comfortable. Mind you, it is not something you enjoy. Discipline is not something enjoyable. Hindi yan, wow, ang sarap-sarap talaga. Pagdisiplina ng sarili. Hindi po yan ganyan. There are times when you cry to the Lord as you discipline yourselves. Mighty men and women of God, I've heard their testimony upon. They are down and out on the floor. If you wanted to be made by the Lord, you wanted to be raised by the Lord, you want to be structured by the Lord, allow the Lord to break all those things that are already there. Allow the Lord to put all those things, discipline all those things, and subject all those things to the ability of the Lord upon our lives. And it's saying, when that happens, you know what Paul is saying? It's not even about us eh. Sometimes we're doing things and we're thinking, ano na lang ang tingin nila sa akin, Lord? What will these people think of me? But you know, as you grow in the Lord, it goes beyond what will people think of me, Lord. Hindi na yun importante when that happens. If the Lord wants you to do something, ang sabi na nila dito, ang sabi na ni Paul dito, if I preach to others, I myself will not be disqualified, and you will not be able to disqualify the gospel that you are preaching. When you say, I myself, it's not about me. It's what you are carrying. Do you get my point? Do you get what the Lord is trying to teach us today? We have an obligation. When we try to discipline our body, and we try to subject everything upon the will of the Lord, ang sabi dito, it's not only because I wanted you to approve me, but I wanted you to approve. Totoo nga ang Diyos nito. Totoo nga ang sinasabi ng Biblia. Totoo nga na meron talagang kakayanan ang Panginoon. Because you are approving the ability of the Lord in you. Because you are able to exercise complete control over your desires and your action. Forget about that. You know, when you say exercise, if you want to build something, you need to exercise. Meaning, this is what we're talking about a while ago, it's progressive. If you don't want to step into it and start doing it, it's gonna be quite challenging. If you say self-control always starts by controlling yourself rather than trying to control other people, kasi ang sarap eh, no? Pag gusto mong kontrolin yung ibang tao, ganun yung mga iba eh, gusto nilang kontrolin yung mga partner nila, yung mga katrabaho nila, mga best friend kaibigan nila, pero sarili, walang control. Di po ba? Ang sabi ng Panginoon, start with yourself. The Lord is teaching us today, start with yourself. The Lord is teaching us to exercise complete control. Meaning, if you wanted to eat an elephant, how do you eat an elephant? You cannot eat the elephant as a whole because it's bigger than you. The plan of the Lord upon our lives is bigger than us. It's massive. But how do you get to have that? Take one bite at a time. One bite now. Tomorrow, second bite. Alam na alam niyo yan. Basta pagkain, madaling i-explain yan. Take one bite at a time. Tingnan natin kung hindi yan maubos. Tingnan natin kung hindi mo makonsume. Tingnan natin kung hindi mo maranasan. Take one bite. Exercise it. Do not be afraid to step on it. You know, when it comes to self-control, we need to understand that each and everyone who wants to be good at something needs to practice it. I often tell my daughter this: you cannot give up. Giving up is not an option. In our walk and journey in the Lord, the enemy will always want to steal, kill, and destroy. But it's not an option. For us who already believe in the Lord, stealing, killing, and destroying our lives and our relationship with the Lord, it's never an option. That's the reason why we need self-control, because it is essential to succeed, to success. It says there, if you are an athletic, if you're an athlete, if you're in the work, if you're looking at your finances, you're looking at your health, if you don't have self-control, lahat to give up. Di po ba? Gusto mong kainin, lahat ng gusto mong kainin? Di ba? Kamusta naman ang health mo? Tama na sa pagbibigay, che, ha? If you don't have time management, and you think you have more than 24 hours in a day, you don't know how to manage your time, you don't know how to control, you don't know how to get a hold of your time, wala ka ng date. Hindi niyo alam yung kwenta. If you don't know how to manage your time, you could lose opportunities that would have had. You could have had. Tama ba?
Amen.
And relationships. Yeah, if you don't have self-control, you think you can just do whatever you want, you can just say whatever you want, you could lose people. You could lose people. And people are divinely, especially the people that are divinely positioned by the Lord, just because we don't have self-control, we lose them. It's painful because you could have so many people in this world, but you cannot afford those people that the Lord has positioned upon your lives. I don't know if you have the same attitude, but when you see a person positioned to you by the Lord, I declare that you've got eyes to be able to define who they are. And when you see them, you never let them go. You just stick on them while it's time for the Lord to say, it's time to let go. But you need to be able to have the self-control to endure. Because at the end of the day, we are very different. And my ministry to you may be different than the ministry of other people. But if that ministry of that person to you blesses you, do not let go. You need that person for that time. So you need to be able to have that self-control, to be able to endure, and to be able to enjoy the spiritual growth that the Lord wanted you to have. Minsan nagtatanong ka sa Panginoon, bakit hindi ako tumataas? Pagdating sa hindi height, spirituality. Bakit hindi umaangat, Lord? Why don't I get higher and higher? Probably you're not having self-control. You are not able to get a hold of your emotions. You're not able to get a hold of the things that you need to exercise. Wala kang sistema in certain areas. And you're not able to connect with people that you need to connect. I was just telling the leaders that we've got here, you know what? If a person wants to grow in their ministry at OVG, I'll tell you something. You really have to cooperate with your fellow workers and your leaders, because there is no other way unless you want to build your own church. Because these people have been going for disobedience, which is equivalent of rebelliousness. If you have that behavior, you will never ever grow in the ministry or the church that the Lord has placed you on. I have learned this on my own painful way. Because sometimes we are so full of ourselves and we think that, oh, I'm better than this one. Good for you, but have you been positioned? That's why I used to jump from one church to another. Because I always think I'm better than the one standing in front. But praise the Lord. If you think you are better than the one standing in front, stay there. Control what you have till the time you have the ability to be the one to speak. Be the one to do things. Because time will come, you will be there. But what's important is not your ability to talk. It's not your ability to give. It's not your ability to do things because you are good. What's important is the heart of the person that does it. Because if you are the best speaker, even if you are the highest tither, if you don't have the right attitude and the right character upon the works of the Lord, and you don't have control over your emotion and your character and your life, it is impossible to succeed. It is impossible. It says, period. No further argument. I want to share with you this marshmallow challenge that I have shared with the fellow leaders during our discipleship. In Stanford Marshmallow Study, they have placed several children on a marshmallow challenge. What they did is that they told them that you will have one marshmallow now, but if you wait for 15 minutes and you just control yourself from having it, after 15 minutes you will get 2 marshmallows. You know the results that they had? It is something that we could apply on ourselves, even though it's children. Sometimes children really teach adults. In the results that they have, 1/3 of these children chose to have the marshmallow now. You know, sometimes when there is something in front of you, may it be a job opportunity, may it be a relationship, may it be a meal, may it be money, may it be an opportunity, you will hear the Lord speaking to you saying, if you wait, I will give you more. But some of us says, I'm taking this now. I remember the prodigal son. I no longer want to wait. Akin na ang mana ko ngayon na. But there were 1/3 who yielded before the time. Meaning, nag-try. Nag-effort naman. Nag-try talaga. Kikita gustong-gusto, di ba? Gustong-gusto, pero talagang ang tiis, no? Yung naputol na yung ko sa pagtiis. Nag-crack na yung nails. Talagang gustong-gusto, gigil na gigil, pero hindi makuha. But there were 1/3 who succeeded and waited and they got 2. What am I trying to say? Self-control is not coming from us, but we have a role to play on how this would implement and touch our lives. If you would like to do it now and lose control of yourself, you have been given the free will of the Lord. If you try and give in eventually, when you do, you lose the bigger portion. What is the Lord trying to tell us? If you are controlling now, for example, someone said something bad to you, and you try to control your mouth from saying something which is worse than what that person have said to you. You know, when you are in this world, if you tell me 1 word, I'll tell you 10 words. I'll give you something more painful than what you tell me. But that's not what the Lord teach us. The Lord taught us to tame our tongue. Okay, for us, sometimes we think that this disadvantages us. But the Lord is saying, wait, anak. Because eventually, you will see what's the price for it. Because if you couldn't have tamed your tongue, you could have lost your job. If you couldn't have tamed your tongue, you could have lost your respect. If you couldn't have tamed your tongue, you couldn't have lost the respect they have for the Lord. But the Lord is saying, it is doable. Because even on the marshmallow challenge, 1/3 of the children managed to wait and they managed to get the tour. But I declare that in our lives, we will always choose to wait upon the ability of the Lord and be able to take hold of anything that the Lord would want us to control upon, just so we could get to be able to see the bigger picture. I just suddenly remembered Moses, Remember Moses, how he ministered to the people of Israel? How he endured everything that the Israelites has been talking behind his back. But eventually, Moses was not able to control just because the Israelites are being such a burden to him already in his ministry. The Lord was saying, tap the rock so that the water will spring out and it will provide water for the people. You know the feeling of Moses? I'm already ministering to you, doing everything that the Lord is asking me to do, and you are causing pain to me. And he just smashed the rock and did not manage to follow the Lord. The sad part is that he did not reach the promised land. The Lord showed him from afar, that's the promised land, but he will never reach there. Imagine how painful it is for a believer that you know what is ahead of you, but you are not able to reach there. In our lives, we're still in that position now. You can see that there is hope. You can see that there is freedom. You can see that there is healing. You can see that there is prosperity. You can see it, but you're not able to get it. We cannot be content by just seeing. We have to experience it. We cannot be content by just knowing. We have to experience it. It is the bread of the children of God. When there is a bread, do you think you will just look at it in the fridge? I know there's a bread in the fridge. You're hungry. But I know there's a bread in the fridge. Okay, you need it. Yeah, but it's in the fridge. You need to be able, kailangan mo malasap yun. Hindi tayo papayag na nakikita natin, alam natin nandun, pero hindi natin nakukuha. Hindi pwede. Merong may mali somewhere. And it could be through the self-control that we have. When I said a while ago that self-control, though it is called self-control, it is not coming on ourselves. Each and every one of us who believe in the Lord has been given self-control as a fruit of the Holy Spirit of God. But we have a role if we wanted the fruit to be there or we wanted the fruit to not be there. The fruit of the Holy Spirit, since the Holy Spirit is in each and every believer, do I hear an amen for that?
Amen.
It means that the self-control is in each and every one of us.
Amen.
So kapag nakikita niyo yung sarili niyo, medyo parang wala yata akong kakontrol-control ngayon. You have to actually stop and pause and say, Lord, this is deception. It is impossible that I cannot control because the Spirit of God that produces self-control is in me. The word of the Lord says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering. Kita mo pala, may suffering pala eh. Kala ng mga Kristiyano, minsan lahat libre, lahat madali, lahat kaya ng ganun lang kadali. Hindi, may suffering eh, but you're able to endure the suffering. There's kindness, there's goodness, there's faithfulness, there's gentleness, and there is self-control. Against such, there is no law. If you are functioning on this, whatsoever the enemy will put upon you, it will not be able to beat up on this. And Galatians 5:16 says, I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. This flesh will lust on a lot of things. This flesh, we're talking about our body and our soul, will always lust on a lot of things because we are still in this world. It will always desire something that is against the will of the Lord. Papainan tayo ng kalaban, ng mga bagay na hindi galing sa Panginoon. But it says, if you walk in the Spirit, not only walk with the Spirit, you walk in the Spirit, meaning you allow the Spirit of the Lord to function in you. You will not even fulfill the lust of the flesh. Fulfill meaning, iba yung may thoughts na dumaan eh. Iba yung may bigla kang naramdaman eh. Pero iba yung ginawa mo in completion. Finulfill mo. Sinatisfy mo. You're not gonna be satisfying the lust of the flesh. You get that? We don't sin when a thought comes in. That's not a sin. When you just suddenly felt something, that's not a sin. That could be a temptation placed by the enemy. Because that's how the enemy brings on temptation upon each and every one of us. May bigla akong nakita. Hindi yun kasalanan pa eh. Pero yung you step into it, finulfill mo, may naisip ka pagkatapos tinuloy-tuloy mo and entertain mo, that's a different story. But the Lord is saying, the Spirit of the Lord, once we walk in it, we will never fulfill. Kaya po yung mga bagay na dating gustong-gusto natin, napapansin nyo, as you walk in the Spirit of the Lord, you don't desire those things anymore.
Amen.
Right? I know you know what I mean. There are a lot of things in our lives that we used to desire before. Ngayon pa nga lang, dapat natutulog tayo, di ba? That's the desire of our flesh. But the Spirit of the Lord is able to give us the strength that we will not fulfill what our flesh wants, but we will already step in and say, yes, Lord, this is what your Spirit desires. It's stronger in me and it's going to take effect upon my life. I like the way this photo was done. It says here, but also for this very reason, giving all diligence and add to your faith virtue. When you say, when you say faith, we each and every one of us know that in the Bible it says, our faith is the faith of the Son of God. You know, even the faith that you have in the Lord, the Bible says it is the faith of the Son of God. It can never fail. If you function in that faith, it can never fail. Because there are two types of faith. The physical faith and the spiritual faith. Meaning, uupo ako dyan, or magsasalita ako at alam ko mas maririnig niyo ako kasi nakikita mo may microphone. Magsasalita ako at alam kong maririnig niyo ako dahil alam kong the Lord is penetrating upon your hearts. Because it's different when you're hearing with this and when you're hearing in your spirit. It's very different. So, what we're trying to say is that that faith is given by the Lord. It can never fail. And that faith produces a lot of things. It produces virtue, good standing, moral standing with people. It produces knowledge. Ang dami na natin alam, di po ba? Grabe na nga ang seminar eh. Kaya minsan ang sinasabi ng Panginoon sa atin, alam na yan eh. Pinalala tuloy ako eh. Alam mo na eh. Kaya mo na yan. You know what? We already know so much. And that's the reason why we can already control. Because the Lord has already given you the knowledge. He has already given you the wisdom. The revelations have been revealed to us already. And that's the reason why you have the power and ability to get hold of things. Because when things are known, you can identify. You cannot identify something that's not known to you. But knowing is no longer an excuse because we already know. So now we have to practice what we know by controlling everything that comes in and goes out of our body. For those who wanted to be married, but I think it is beyond. When I looked at this verse, I was not looking into just people who wanted to get married. It says in 1 Corinthians 7:9, but if they cannot exercise self-control, again, exercise. Practical application po ang self-control. Hindi po yan yung yung kain ka ng kain, tapos nagsa-self-control ako. May practical application po yun eh. Alam mo yun, yung kailangan mo talagang gawin para maranasan mo eh. It says here, but if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. But when we learn marriage, we understood that we do not want to marry just because we wanted an excuse for fornication. Kala mo, nakikipag-sex na ako, magpapakasal na kaya? Para na lang, safe na rin kami. Because then you're marrying for the wrong reason. You're marrying because you want to get out of fornication. But it says here, we need to exercise it. You know what? If you cannot control your body, you will not be able to do what the Lord wanted you to do. For those people who have already done sex outside of marriage, hello, ako lang. The Lord is teaching us. The ability of the Holy Spirit is now in us. Self-control is now in us. And we are not going to be stepping into marriage just because we wanted to save ourselves from fornication. But we are going to be stepping into partnership. Forget about marriage. In our lives, there's going to be quite a lot of partnership and alignments that the Lord would put. Marriage is one of them. But if you do not have self-control, you may end up being with that person for the wrong reasons. Why do you want to be with the Prophet Lorena? Papahula kasi ako araw-araw. Pametay ha? Why do I have to be with this person? Kasi ito, pagka yan ang pagka Ate Rose, palagi akong busog. Alam mo yan? You are with that person for a wrong reason. When you have self-control, brothers and sisters, it's not a matter of what you will receive, but a matter of what you can give. A person with self-control has the ability to hold and release. We're not talking about a taker here. We're talking of someone who's able to give. If you are a person with self-control, you are going to be able to give. And you're going to be a blessing to a lot of people you're with. Can I ask you to read that, please?
And everyone who competes for the prize is separate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a perishable crown, but we for an imperishable crown. Therefore I run thus, not with uncertainty. Thus I fight, not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified.
Do you know that as we journey in this life, I'll end with this verse. Have you seen this particular photo here? You know, as we journey in this life, it is just but normal that we get soiled, we get stained. It looks like this person has gone through a lot before he could even go and say, I won the prize. Because you really compete. In this world, we battle. The truth of spiritual battle is already happening. Even the state of our situation now in the Middle East and all over the world, there is something greater than what we see now. And everything is in competition towards one another. And it says here, if everyone who competes, we compete because we know there is a prize. You know, when Jesus has allowed himself to win the victory for us, he knows what is the prize ahead of him. And that means the prize that is ahead of him is the salvation for you and for me and for all mankind. So when we are actually competing on the prize, it does not mean that you're gonna go out so easily. You could get soiled, you could get dirty, you could get hurt. It may be a challenge, the course may be trivial, but then you are temperate in all things. Hindi yung magaling ako sa part na to, pero itong area na to, tsaka na lang. The Lord is saying we have to be temperate in all things. What are we trying to say here? A Christian knows how to self-control, meaning desires to control himself. The second part is that we start with something small. And the third part is that we are strategic. You know, when you want to play self-control, you have to be strategic. Because the enemy is using his strategy on us all the time. But Christians are always, what was the teacher saying? When he was teaching, parang relax na lang tayo.
Complacent.
Passive, complacent. We are not supposed to be complacent and passive. We are strategic Christians. Which area of my life am I losing control all the time? Each and every one of us is not exempted to this. There is an area of our lives that we lose control all the time. And the Lord is saying we should be temperate in all these things. Why? Because when we do that, what area in your life are you losing control all the time? Is that your patience? Is it your food intake? Is it your habits? Is it your prayer time? Is it your finances? Is it your character? Is it your tongue? Is it your mind? Is it your body? Is it lust? Which part of your life are you losing control all the time? Strategically, you know, you will answer it. You don't need to open your mouth. You know the answer. It is good to analyze oneself and strategically see the entry doors in which the enemy implicates or inflicts all these things upon our lives. And the Lord is saying, we have to be temperate in all these things. Ito pala yung part ha. Ito yung kailangan kong i-adjust. Willingness to be able to adjust that. Why? Because we know that what we are gonna be obtaining is not a perishable crown. Hindi yan yung, ang galing talaga ni Sister Sen. Okay, fine. Bukas wala ka na. Sino na magsasabi sa akin? What we are going to be obtaining is an unperishable crown. What the Lord is going to give us, eternity, eternal reward. So when we are controlling, we are not only controlling for the rewards that we will be getting in this world, but the beauty about the Lord, if you align in the will of the Lord, you will have favor. So, pinag-aaralan ko po yung favor ng Panginoon. You will have favor with God and man. If God favors you, man has no other choice but to favor you. Totoo po yan. Pag pinaboran ka ng Panginoon, hindi pwedeng hindi ka paboran ng tao. And the Lord is saying, you are gonna be temperate in all these things because you know that there is imperishable rewards. Therefore, I run, thus not with uncertainty. When we run, hindi tayo, bahala na bukas, bahala na si Batman. Okay na yan? Pwede na yan? No. We are not running with uncertainty. We are not going without a plan. We are not going without a decision. We are not going without something concrete in our hands. Because the word of the Lord is already there for us. Thus we fight not as the one who beats the air. It says here we fight battalions. We fight in this world, we fight. We do not allow the enemy to beat us up. Palagi na lang tayong duguan. Dati yun. Hindi pwedeng duguan tayo palagi. Palagi na lang tayong talunan. Dati yun. But the word of the Lord is saying, we fight not as if, alam mo yun, yung lumalabang ka, suntok sa hangin, hindi sure. Pa-sure na. Pa-sure na tayo. But I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified. This is what we were saying a while ago. Self-control, it is the fruit of the Holy Spirit. It's in each and every one of us. I declare that as you understand the beauty of self-control upon our lives, first you must understand that it is not coming from ourselves, but it is coming from the Lord. But it is through our response that it could harmoniously function upon our lives, so that we could continue walking in victory and be able to avail the freedom of the healing and deliverance that the Lord has placed upon our lives. I will leave you with this last one verse. It says in John 15, 3-5, you are already clean. Shadow, can you flash that one? The one with the vines? Okay, I know that it's there, Jalo, but if you can go. Yeah, the one before that? Excellent, thank you. John 15, 3-5. Dito ba si Kuya John? You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Imagine the power of the word of the Lord upon our lives. It sanctified us. It sanctified each and every one of us. It cleansed us. We are no longer of the old self that the enemy wants to continuously tell us we are. We are already clean. But the Lord is saying, abide in me, and I in you. Meaning, it is not only a one-way ticket. The ticket goes both ways. I abide in me, and I in you. This is a relationship. The Lord is trying to say, abide in me, be in me, work with me, follow me, be subjected to me, and I will be subjected to you. You just want to get the promises, but you are not doing the fulfillment of those things that you need to do from your end. Brothers and sisters, you're not gonna get it. Para ka sumusuntok sa buwan. Sa hangin pala. Hirap yung lalo pag buwan. It says here, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. See, the Lord is reminding us. Let us continuously connect with the Lord. If there is something we need to disconnect upon, that is the works of the enemy. Alalahanin niyo, ang kinakast out ang demonyo. Hindi kinakast out ang Espiritu ng Panginoon. Pag ang Espiritu ng Panginoon nag-convict sa atin sa isang sitwasyon, maging submissive tayo at obedient. Or gusto niyo ba sakripisyo? I declare that there will be great obedience and self-control upon each and every one of us, from the roots of our hair till the end of our toes. Can I request you all to stand up?